The SEC's motion to appeal the Ripple XRP case has been denied. Judge Torres is becoming the most favorite person in this Ripple community right now because she really isn't standing for anything of what the SEC are doing. And I think this decision made by Judge Torres against the SEC is a major setback for the SEC, especially when they're looking at kind of having this reach across all of crypto. I think hopefully Gary Gensler and the SEC are realizing that their reach has actually been overreach. I think they're seeing that what they thought was reach and oversight into the cryptocurrency world has actually been overreach. And so the community is going completely wild about all of this. John Deaton's posting, I just got an email from the court. Judge Torres has denied the interlocutory appeal. SEC loses again. Blockchain backer going, oh snap. We've also got xrpnews.crypto saying SEC just keeps losing. They do. Jack the Rippler's also saying congratulations to everyone in the XRP community. We deserve it. We've waited so long and it's just nice to be winning here. And CoinDesk was talking about how the price rallied after the announcement. So we're going to go into a few things in this video. We're going to go over the status of XRP as it stands right now. We're going to go to the approach that the SEC have taken in this whole process. We've got implications for the crypto space. We're going to get into how the market might be impacted by this on a global scale and based on XRP as an individual asset. We're also going to talk about Gary Gensler's position in all of this and what I see for his future. And with all of that said, let's talk about XRP status as it stands right now. Back on July 17th, June 17th, I forgot when that date was now. But when XRP was declared not a security, it had big implications on a temporary basis on the market, right? The price pumped all the way up to 94 cents, like doubled in price immediately. It's since come back down, but what we get from this is now the removal of doubt, right? Because in that initial response or in that initial ruling that XRP is not a security, there was also this kind of hanging overarching idea that the SEC were definitely going to appeal, right? So it kind of took away from the shine of the moment. So you have the price shooting up, everyone's excited, but then there's just enough people in the other side saying, but the SEC can counter that, they can appeal that, right? And that just adds a level of uncertainty and doubt into the market, and it limits what the token can do, especially in the short term, right? So now what we have seen is that XRP is not a security, and it's been reaffirmed, like they cannot appeal that anymore. They can't appeal it. And so it is 100% XRP is not a security now with zero doubt. And it's been said 1,000 times before, but the SEC's approach to all of this has been wrong, right? It's been overbearing, it's been overreaching, it's been lacking clarity. That's actually, we don't have a problem with the SEC. I actually don't think people have problems with the SEC. People have a problem with the way the SEC are doing things, and that's obviously headed up by Gary Gensler. But the way they've been doing things is doing the opposite of what we expect them to do. What we expect them to do is provide clarity, right? Frameworks that we can all work within. And Ripple have said this many times, specifically Brad Garlinghouse, saying, we've wanted to work with regulators, but they're not providing us with the clarity so that we can work with them effectively. Ultimately, this all comes down to Ethereum and ETHgate, right? The way Ethereum has been given this free pass has almost forced the SEC via Jay Clayton and then now by proxy into Gary Gensler that there's an agenda behind this entity, right? We've allowed Ethereum a free pass. We've kind of given them the clarity. And because of the nature of giving Ethereum clarity, we now actually cannot give clarity to the rest of the market. And so if another company or another asset comes into play, like a big one, like XRP and Ripple, we cannot provide clarity on that because it would implicate us for what we've done with Ethereum. So they're really, really doing their best and have been doing their best to suppress XRP. What I'm really happy about is that Judge Torres is doing the right thing, because you see all of these things like House of Cards and all kinds of shows where you've got lawyers involved and all of that. And I think it's very Hollywood, but there's always a deal going on underneath. And while I think Hollywood actually represents the worst of humans and the way humans interact, I don't put it past the SEC that kind of thing has happened. And of course, we've got Ethereum and all of that. But I'm just happy at this point that Judge Torres hasn't been roped in to all of that, and that she hasn't been paid off and she's not given in. She's actually done the right thing. So we don't give enough credit to her, even though she's like the one receiving all the credit right now. We need to give her more credit because she's basically stood strong, and I'm sure there were offers flown on the table there for her that she's kind of ignored at this point. So really, really great. And it really shows very clearly the lack of clarity that they've given the SEC, and also shows even clearer the whole Ethereum thing. It's crazy, it's crazy. We'll talk about that in a future date, but it seems like the community has really got behind Judge Torres, Ripple, XRP, but now also Coinbase, right? Because Coinbase have had their goings in with the SEC, and it seems like the community as a whole is now rallying behind Coinbase. But it's just nice to see that we're now rallying behind a larger crypto entity than just Ripple. And so we'll see where that goes, but it looks like, you know, the SEC is just on this complete losing streak. We're going to talk about Gary and the SEC in a second. What I thought might be an interesting thought to have, or thing to think about, is the exchanges in New York specifically. The SEC are in New York. The SEC have also now no ability to say that XRP is not a security because they've been even denied on the appeal. So what does this mean for the likes of Uphold? What does this mean for residents of New York buying XRP on the likes of Uphold, right? The hardest place in the world, I think, to buy XRP is New York, exactly where the SEC is and exactly where the proper party was, which I think was deliberate at being a global location in New York, but also a nice little way to stick it back to the man by doing the big party in New York right next to the SEC. If you haven't watched my whole video about the proper party and the whole trip, please click the link in the description or click the I in the top right of this video. I bring you along on the trip and you can kind of be at the proper party with me. I think it's quite an enjoyable video. I think one of the community's favorites it hasn't got many views, interestingly, but the overwhelming positivity in the comments just makes me want to do more of those videos. So thank you very much for your support, everyone. So it seems like Gary Gensler has been taking L after L after L. He's just on a massive losing streak. It's very clear that he's trying to cover up something. He's trying to shift the blame from what previous people have done, being Jay Clayton, about, you know, taking Ripple to court. I think ultimately to cover up what they were doing with Ethereum. He's now kind of accepted that responsibility, and his whole mission is to provide lack of clarity to anything but Ethereum and Bitcoin. And that is just coming out clear. Like, we can all see it. It's clear for everyone to see. Judge Torres clearly sees it because she's now able to enforce law about that, right? And make real decisions. And all of that highlights the corruption of the SEC. Do I think the SEC disappears? I'm struggling to imagine them disappearing. I can imagine Gary Gensler being shuffled out, but this certainly doesn't look good for Gary Gensler because he's just on this massive losing streak. And, you know, they'll lose against Coinbase as well. Like, I just don't see him winning anything. And at some point, I mean, Congress already don't like Gary Gensler. You know, Gary Gensler is already hated by the people in Congress. And so we've seen him get ripped apart in Congress. I think that continues on until the resignation happens. I think the resignation will be soon. I really think that has to happen soon. On the flip side, it might also never happen, right? These people are unelected. They're put in position to do a job by people, right? They're not voted on by the public. They're like, oh, you can keep a secret? You're the guy. You can go in here and you just do what we say, right? So it's like elected or voted on by a very small amount of people who have all the power. The power deliberately there to enforce a specific agenda or a narrative, or cover something up, which I think is the way it is. So I see both ways. Like, if the right thing is done, Gary Gensler goes. If there is lots more corruption in the system, Gary Gensler stays and continues on doing what he's doing and getting paid out as he is being paid out. I'm sure there's so many benefits to lying for these people and doing the wrong thing. So let's look at the adoption of XRP, global utility, the global implications of this news. I think on a global scale, it doesn't really mean that much aside from the companies that really look to the USA. If companies are really looking at the USA for absolute clarity and that is the basis by which they make decisions, then yes, this will have, you know, a decent impact, because now XRP has no doubt, as I said at the beginning of the video, XRP has no doubt anymore. There's no doubt whether it's a security or not, right? That is a decision, and it by law is not a security. So that decision in law can be applied across all the countries now, right? Because, I mean, that's great. When we talk about utility, it means there is now zero hurdle to using XRP as an asset, as a digital currency, as an agnostic bridge asset. There's no barrier anymore. There's no, like, you know, we're in Germany and we're deciding whether to use XRP fundamentally underneath for final settlement. There's none of our bank, or none of the people in our bank now talking about, well, there's still got that court case in America, we don't know how that's going to go. Like, there's none of that anymore. And so I think it does bump up adoption just a little bit. I don't think it makes a big change, because lots of Europe, the UK, and even in Asia, they already kind of accept XRP is not a security, and they're making plans accordingly. But now there's a little difference. There is no doubt. And I think that's really, really, really important. But in terms of the implications for the whole of crypto, this is fantastic, right? It shows that judges will make the right decision about cryptocurrencies from here on out, and there's precedent, right? If you're part of another cryptocurrency and it gets pursued by the SEC, there's now precedent to look back at XRP, and decisions can be made easier. In the end, what's going to happen is there's going to be a series of assets that are brought up that have clarity and have regulation and definitions, which is really important. I also think that ties into ISO 20022 tokens, right? They already meet the requirements of the new system. It makes more sense for them to have clarity first, rather than, you know, all these random obscure coins like Shiba Inu, you know. Overall, this is fantastic news. I don't think it does much for the price. We saw the little blip. It was like everyone went, yay. And that's what the price did. It went, yay. Price went up a little bit, came back down. I think that's just natural for this type of news. Ultimately, what we're learning here is that news is great, and it can even double your money. It can bring the price of an asset from 45 cents to 94 cents. We can see how news can do that. But ultimately, I don't think we should be looking at news for price movement, like meaningful price movement. What we need to be looking at is, you know, G20 timelines for cross-border payments and the utilization of XRP in, you know, real-world tokenized assets. Like, these things are the things that really, really move the price of XRP. They only move the price of XRP because people see the value in XRP and start to hoard XRP. Institutions, you know, saying, we actually see the use of XRP here. We might need to store 1 billion tokens. Like, let's buy 1 billion tokens, or even use the 1 billion tokens that we already have, right? We don't know if they've already done these things. And I found out recently that large entities can actually buy vast amounts of XRP on any crypto, but done in such a way where it doesn't impact the market. So interesting. So what we ultimately need is these institutions to be saving that XRP because of its future prospects for use. That's what we need. We need it all out of circulating supply, essentially, to create this virtuous cycle movement where the price continues to go up, and the more it goes up, the more people hoard it, and the more it goes up, even more. And so I think that's what we're looking for. But ultimately, it's all about the G20 cross-border payments timeline, because that gives us an indication as to when cross-border payments need to be completely revolutionized. Now, that is in fact tomorrow's video. So if you want to watch tomorrow's video, which is all about the big things happening in October regarding cross-border payments and G20 and the Financial Stability Board, the big events happening in October, I'm going to go through all of those in tomorrow's video, so make sure you're subscribed. You can also turn the notification bell on and it will alert you when that video comes out. Aside from this video, videos usually come out at about 7:45 p.m. UK time every day of the week. If you got value from this video and you have extra thoughts that you want to share, please leave your comments below. Click like on the video, share it with all your friends. Stay emotionless, and I'll see you in the next one.